Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt. Anything in the center of your mind does not allow your body, your thoughts, and your consciousness to come to balance within oneself, within your cranial nerves, within your hands and your feet, within your thought process, within your consciousness, all the seeds of Satan that's been sown throughout the week and throughout your life from birth to present. And cut down all the trees and the thoughts in your mind within yourself and bring it under the subjection under your feet, unto the highest order in Yahushua Mashiach and the highest Shaman who sits at Yahuwah's right hand, who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who holds the 7 strings when he smites it with his right hand, when he hits it with his right hand, and strikes it into 7 strings that gathering his people from the 4 winds and the 4 corners of the earth. The one who gives light and understanding to our thoughts and our minds and our eyes and our ears and our inner man and our inner being. The one who allows us to walk as both male and female in the Gan on earth, that we may walk in newness of life, that we may be able to reap the seed, sow the seed, reap the actual plants, and to be able to plant again, that we may be a continual fruit, continual seed-bearing tree in the earth. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, we acknowledge the one who made all the Har of the earth, all of the Nahar of the earth, the rivers and streams where the actual animals come to eat and to drink from, and they actually gain the actual understanding that they need to do what? To live and to breathe on this earth. The one who made all of the insectoids, the one who formed all the behemoth, the one who formed all of the oak, the one who formed all of the God, the sea urchins and the creatures on the fifth day of creation, all of the sea urchins and the whales and all the things that he uses for his will in the earth. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward in his fruit. Right, his fruit is, he say, the fruits that he gives. For his fruit is the light of life, and his fruit is the understanding out of our inner being and our inner thoughts and our inner mind, that we may delight in the Torah through our inner man and our inner being, that we may be able to be clothed in righteousness in our inner man, that it may reflect on the outside. So we look at our life and we look at our understanding, we look at truth. And this day we focus in our frontal lobe in our thoughts and our minds and our eyes and our ears, to rule over all that is and all that we cannot see that Satan throws at us, knowing that he rules over all of Tartarus and all of the unseen world and the unseen beings and all of the beings that exist. But yet, Yahuwah giving us the power through the bar that we may walk in newness of life, that we may walk in his power, that we may walk in his protection and his fire that guards us on all around in a sphere, everywhere we go. So as we move forward in kindness, Ahal, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, and munah, but we will in no wise clearly guilty, not only for ourselves and for others, for that is just within ourselves. Right, so this is the Odes of Solomon, ODE. This is Odes of Solomon, ODE 10. Odes of Solomon, ODE 10. ODE 10. So Odes of Solomon, ODE 10, right? And it says right here, verse 1. It says, Yahuwah has directed my mouth by his debar, by his word. It says, and has opened my heart by his light. So we look at all the things. He said, he's going to open your heart by his light, which means one was in darkness. And he'd say, I'm in darkness, I can't see. He like, I'll open your mind by his light, right? And it says, and he has caused to dwell in me his immortal life. What's his immortal life? His debar. Yahushua said, Shaman is my throne, the earth is my footstool. But he also said, heaven and earth will pass away, the Shamayim shall pass away. But he said, my debar will never pass away. It's immortal life. He said, I'm going to make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal in the book of Yirmiyahu, chapter 31. He said, I'm going to put it in their heart and their mind. I'm going to write it there. I'm going to katab. I'm going to put it, inscribe it right there on you. Even as a man would inscribe a shield. Even as a person would inscribe a staff in his hand. Even as a man would inscribe a ring and stamp it. He said, I'm going to do it just like that. And guess what it says? And guess what he says? Immortal life. And permitted me to proclaim the fruit of his peace. So the fruit of his peace. When do fruits bear? In the summertime, in Queens. How you say when the summer fruit comes? He said his fruit, not yours. He said, I'm going to profess my fruit. Right? His fruit. And it says, to convert the lives of those who desire to come to him. Because he has fruit that he bears, and guess what? It attracts people. Just like how a fruit tree right? A mango tree, an apple tree, 7 types of bananas, right? A lokumu tree, right? An actual tree that has fruit on it, a cucumber tree, or something, a cucumber vine, or a grapevine, or a muscadine vine, right? He said, I'll attract you just like it's like animals come to eat from those things. And it says, and to convert the lives of those who desire to come to him, and to capture a good captivity for freedom. Like you say, today is the day of freedom. Today is the day of warning. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as a gift. Right? That's what he's giving it to us. It says, I took courage and became strong and captured the world. And it became mine for kabod of the Most High. He became mine for my own kabod, my own glory. No. He said, for Yahuwah's glory. And of my Father. And verse 5 says, and the Gentiles who had been scattered were gathered together. But I was not defiled by my love for them. And guess what it says? And because they had praised me in high places, right? And the traces of light were set upon their heart. And they walked according to my life and were saved. And they became my people forever. Who are you talking about? He said, and the traces of light were set upon their heart, and they walked according to my life and were saved. My life? You're talking about my life. He said they walked according to my life, right? So this is the book of, this is the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 1. Habakkuk 2 and 1. Habakkuk or Habakkuk 2 and 1. He said, I will take my stand at my watch post and station myself on the tower. We talked about the tower with Asenath. When she was on the tower, when the man came to visit her, and she said, I got 7 virgins with me. He said, these would be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. He said, the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower, the righteous run into it and are safe. According to the book of Mashali. And it says right here, take my stand at my watch post and station myself on the tower and look out to see what he will say to me and what I will answer concerning my complaint. And it says right here, verse 2 says, and Yahuwah answered me, write the vision. Make it plain on tablets. He said, write it, right? He said, just like he said, I'm going to make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal. He said, I'm going to write it on their heart and their mind. He said, make it plain upon the tablets. And it says, and that so he may run who reads it. That you can run. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. It's not going to lie to you. It said, if it seems slow, wait for it. You know how you running and you jogging, or you running and somebody just slower than you, and you gotta sit there and you gotta wait for them to finish. He said, if they slow, wait for it. If they still running slow, he's like, just wait for it. He said, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. It's coming. Verse 4 says, behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright in him. But the righteous shall live by his amunah. Who amunah? He said, going to live by his faith. His amunah. It says, moreover, guess what it says right here. All right, skipping over. All right, so we're going to this is Romans chapter 10. Romans 10 and 1. Romans 10 and 5. Romans 10 and 5. Actually, Romans 10 and 1. Romans 10 and 1. Romans 10 and 1. It says, brothers and sisters, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim is for them, is that they might be saved. And other translators say, Yasharal. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal of Yahuwah Elohim, but not according to knowledge. So he said, because he said fools hate knowledge. He said, that's why I say tukah is a part of way of life. He said, my people are destroyed for lack of binakut mada'ah. They say knowledge. And it says, For being ignorant of of the righteousness of Elohim, we know what Yahuwah's righteousness is. This would be our righteousness if we keep His commandments. And the commandments are not grievous. Just like it's like we talk about in Exodus chapter 20, Deuteronomy 6:25, Proverbs 6:23, right? Psalms 119. That righteousness, everlasting righteousness, that law, that Turah is the truth. 142, right? All that's a part of it. He said these things. He said these you will find good success if you keep my commandments. Just like he talks about this book of the Torah should not depart out of your mouth in Joshua 1:9. He said if you do it, if you say you'll have good success in the sight of Yahuwah and men, you're gonna always have success. But if you allow them to depart from you, then guess what happens? Right? When these people in Romans, they're ignorant of Yahuwah's righteousness. Because all Yasharal ain't Yasharal. Just because people say they're Yasharal, they don't mean they're Yasharal. But it says, for being ignorant of the righteousness of Yahuwah, seeking to establish their own, they have not submitted to the righteousness, Yahuwah's righteousness. Why? For Mashiach is the end of the law. Look at that. He's the end of it. So he's saying, hey, if people keep the Torah, that's the righteous laws, right? But he's saying, still haven't found Him. Because He's the end of all of that. You believe in all that, you doing all that obedience, but He's saying He's the end of it. Like, I say, if it's running too slow, wait for it. It's coming. They coming. It's just moving too slow. They ain't crossed the finish line yet, though. But you got to wait for it. It says, for Mashiach is the end of the law. It's the finish line. He said, you know how he said, who should say it is finished? He said, man, you almost there, man. The monkey done jumped on your back. He said, you almost there. Eventually, I'm coming. You're almost there. It says, for the Mashiach is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. To everyone who believes. For Mashiach writes about the righteousness that is based on the Torah, on the law, that the person who does the commandments shall live by them. So we living by them. He said, why would you live by them? Because they are a protection. He said, if you do all these commandments, I'll put none of the diseases that I put on Mizraim, on the children of Ahal. The disobedient children that came out of Newark after they got off the ship. That lineage, all the way from Nimrod, all the way till Mizraim came on the sea, till actually after that, and they stepped out to other beings and other people. And we're talking about those people. The Sodomites, Sodom and Gomorrah. It says, for Mashiach writes about the righteousness that is based on the law, that the person who does the commandments shall live by them. But the righteousness based on Amunah says, do not say in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamayim. So there is a righteousness it is righteousness when they do it in what he said what Mashiach does. That's righteousness. But there's also another that's based upon faith. The one that the goyim gonna live by. He said the just gonna live by his faith, Amunah. Mashiach is the end of that. Because the Torah is supposed to bring you to Him. Right? And it says, based on Amunah says, do not say in your heart, who shall ascend in Shamayim? That is to bring Mashiach down, or who will descend into the abyss. But what does it say? The word is near you. He's going to write it on your heart and your mind. It's very near you. It's inside of you. In your mouth and in your hearts. That is the word of Amunah that we proclaim. Because if you confess with your mouth that Yahushua is master and believe in your heart that Yahuwah raised him from the dead, you will be saved. To those who actually observe the law, the Torah. So you got to observe the law and the Torah to get to this point where you can actually be able to inherit a promise that's given to those who believe in Amunah. That's the end of keeping all that, Mashal, Moses, and all that. That's the end of it. And once you find out about it, it's like, okay, so what I need to do? I need to keep these righteous laws and statutes and judgments. I need to do that. Once you find out about it. But if you knew the laws, statutes, and judgments and righteousness before that, then you found out Yahushua is the end of all of that. But if you didn't know it, then you believe on it. I believe on the Son of Yahuwah. I believe on the Son of Elohim. Okay, then now you got to go and keep all the other stuff. But if you already knew it, he's like, oh, this is the end of it. But this is okay, I don't live by his Amunah. Okay, I'm a goyim. I never knew it. I was of the nations. I should believe on Yahushua Mashiach. Now I got to go back and keep all the laws, statutes, and judgments. That's the only way you're going to be able to complete it in its proper form. You can't just believe one and not the other. You need both. You got to be circumcised in heart and ruach, like this says. Cleanse yourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and ruach. So what was? You think about that, right? But it says right here, the word is near you and in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of Amunah we proclaim, because if you confess with your mouth that Yahushua is the master and believe in your heart that Elohim raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. He said, you are saved. People weren't there, like people read Romans, people weren't there confess Yahushua Mashiach during the time when it was like they were actually killing people. They were scared to death. Some people. That was the end of your life. But it says right here, for the scripture says, everyone who believes in him will not be put to shame. Right? So this second Ezra, he said, if you believe in him, why? Because you're going to do the same thing he did. He said, the just shall live by a woman. That's in Romans chapter 6. Let's go to Romans 6 and 1. Romans 6 and 1, real quick. Romans 6 and 1. I just say Romanian. Romans 6 and 1. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin, that con may abound? You can't grow like that. There's no way you're going to grow. It says, by no means, how can he who dies to sin still live in it? I died. Do you not know that all of us who have been immersed into Yahushua Mashiach were immersed into his death? That's what it symbolizes. It symbolizes your immersion into his death, which means you taking him and put him on. You went through it's like going through the Watergate, Stargate that they have. Going through the Stargate and you come out the other side and now you become a new person. I said I went through a one state of being to another state of being. And it says right here, it says, mercy to death, we were buried therefore with him by immersion into death. Just like you see a seed that's planted, when the seed gets planted into the ground, what happens? You bury things that are dead. You bury it. Just like Yaakov told his family, we're going to the house of Yasharal, and he buried all the idols under a tree. You bury it. You bury dead things. And guess what it says? And we were buried therefore with him by immersion unto death, in order that just as Mashiach was raised from the dead by the Kabbalah of the Father, we too might walk in newness of life. It said, walk in newness of life. Right? Walk in newness of life. Right? So it says right here, verse 5 says, for if we have been united with him in a death like his, we shall certainly be united with him in the resurrection like his. And it says, we know that our old life was crucified with him in order that the body of sin might be brought to nothing. He said, the old life. He said, it's dead. So that we would no longer be enslaved to sin. That's all it is. What do you think? My old life represents something good? He said, my old life represents something to be proud of. He's like, did you know Yahushua Mashiach during that life? Did you know the Torah? Did you know the commandment? You know the Torah lifestyle you're supposed to live? He's like, no. So he said, therefore, guess what happens? He said, all that life is dead. He said, that's a dead life. And guess what he says? For no one who it says, for the one who has died has been set free from sin. He said, has been set free from sin. Now, if we have died with Mashiach, we believe that we will also live with him. He said, you going to live with me? So think about it. You think Yahushua want to live with a bunch of people who doing like Sodom and Gomorrah, like children of Ham? You think you want to live with them people? You see how it is to live with rebellious and stubborn people? He's like, nah, I don't want to live with a rebellious, stubborn, hard-hearted, four-mouth, conceited, hatred, people full of hatred and envy. Yahushua like, I don't want to live with you. People like, yeah, he wants to live with us. No, he don't. He said, you're going to drive me insane. You're going to be like Lot. Man, you're going to vex my soul every day. You're going to be just like Luke in Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, he said you free from sin to set you free. Right, going back to ODE Shaloma chapter 10 verse 3. ODE Shaloma chapter 10 verse 2. And he has caused me to dwell, and he has caused to dwell in me immortal life, and permitted me to proclaim the fruits of his peace, to convert the lives of those who desire to come to him, and to capture, it says, and to capture a good captivity for freedom. It says, to capture a good for freedom, right? Because he said you be free from sin if you be immersed in Yahushua Mashiach for freedom, right? So this is 2nd Ezra, chapter 10. 2nd Ezra, chapter 10. 2nd Ezra, chapter 10, verse 21. 2nd Ezra, chapter 10, verse 20. Second Ezra chapter 10, verse 20. 2nd Ezra chapter 10, verse 20. It says, for out of her came all at the first, as we go to verse 8. Actually, go up to verse, let's start at verse 1. 2nd Ezra 10 and 1. It says, and it came to pass that when my son was entered into the wedding chamber, he fell down and died. Then we all overthrew the lights, and all my neighbors rose to comfort me. So I took my rest until the second day at night. Right, skipping down to verse, where we at? Verse 5. It says, then I left my meditation where I was and spake to her in anger, saying, thou foolish woman, above all other, seest thou not the mourning? Seest not thou our mourning, and what happened unto us? How that Saun, our mother, is full of heaviness. Like we talked about last week, how Jerusalem above is free, and it's a mother of us all. We talked about the mother priest who have been taken from the earth. And we talked about how the actual mother, he said, Deborah said, I rose a mother when I saw these new gods that rose up. He said, I rose a mother in Yahshua. He said, I rose up. Just like you see the mother priesthood being taken from the earth. Because we know Jerusalem is free and it's a mother of us all. And it says, for how Saun, our mother, is full of heaviness and much humble, mourning very sore. And now seeing we all mourn and are sad, for we all are all in heaviness. Art thou grieved for one son? For ask the earth, and she shall tell thee that it is she which ought to mourn for the fall of so many that grow upon her. She said she ought to mourn for all the fall of many who grow upon her. You look at all the things that's growing on the earth today. And just like he said, all those that are immersed in Yahushua have been immersed into his death. And old life is supposed to be crucified. And the new life is supposed to resurrect. But look what's growing on the earth. A bunch of trees that have not so learned Mashiach. He said they grow on the earth. And it says right here, verse 10 says, and out of her came all at the first, and out of her shall all the others come. And behold, they walk almost all into destruction, and the multitude of them is utterly rooted out. They rooted out of Saul. He said everybody rooted out. Why? It says, who then should make more mourning than she, that she lost a so great multitude, and not thou which are sorry, but for one? He said, you sorry for just for one child? And it says right here, but if thou sayest unto me, my lamentation is like the earth's, because I have lost the fruit of my womb. The fruit of the womb. We just talked about Shalom. Shalom said, I'm going to come to proclaim Yahuwah's fruit. And guess what it says? And it says, the fruit of the womb, when I brought forth he said, I brought forth in pains and bare with sorrows, but the earth not so, for the multitude present in it, according to the course of the earth, is gone, as it came. Right? Just like Yahushua said, I'm a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. He said he was like one that hid his face from. We hid our face from. Why? Because he was acquainted with grief. He was a man of sorrows. He said Yahuwah sent his only son into the world, and he died. Yeshua 53 even proclaims it. He said he came into the earth. He said he died for our sin. But why he died? Not for ours, but not for his own, for us. He said, you weeping for your only son, but guess what happens? But he said the mother, he said, you see how Saul, our mother? You don't see what happened to her? Right? And it says, but if thou sayest unto me, my lamentation is not like the earth's, because I have not lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth with pains and bear with sorrows, but the earth not so. For the multitude present in it, according to the course of the earth, is gone, as it came. Then I say unto thee, like as thou hast brought forth with labor, even so the earth also hath given her fruit. Namely, man, ever since the beginning, unto him that made her. He said it gives her his fruit. When do you get the fruit? In the summertime. When the sun gets to its highest point, and you get the summer solstice, when you see the summer fruit come, early summer, late summer, that's when the summer fruit comes. He said the earth he said the earth, it says, and the earth hath given her fruit, namely man, ever since the beginning, unto him that made her. Now therefore keep thy sorrow to thyself, and bear with a good courage that which has befallen thee. Why? He said, why do you think he reproaches them that reproach you, Yahushua Mashiach, has fallen on us? He said, bear it. He said, the reproach of those who reproach you, Yahuwah, it all fall on me. He bore our sin. So he's telling you, bear the sin of your only son being taken away. Because all those who immerse in Yahushua and put him on. Because you're supposed to have died. And your life is hidden in the Mashiach Yahushua. And you're supposed to bear that person has died. And resurrect to newness of life. That's the only way you're going to do that, is to accept it and bear it. Because that life has died. And he's saying, I have to think about that. And he's like, yeah, that life has died. And you got to think about it. And you got to bear it. And it says right here, so I proceeded to speak further unto her and said, do not so, but be counseled by me. For how many of our adversaries are at the adversaries of Saul? How many are there today? A lot. He said, of the parts place, be comforted in regard to the sorrow of Jerusalem. He said, we talked about last week how they talked about the 12 foundations, the 12 shalakim, the 12 pearls. Right? We talked about it was such a heart in them to keep the commandments always, to walk in my ways, and to obey my charge. He said, it was such a heart in them. But he said, you become an approach and a byword to the world. But it says right here, for thou seest that our sanctuary is laid waste. Our altars are broken down, our temple destroyed. Because you know why? He said, why he destroyed that old temple? You should say, in 2 days, and he said, one day I'm going to tear it down, in 3 days I'm going to build it back. He's talking about the temple of his body, but he says, why were you immersed in Yahushua Mashiach? So the old life can be destroyed. Why do you think he destroyed the temple? Now he split it in two. That's what you're supposed to be to your own life. He's saying, now, guess what? Now your old life is now passed away. Now everything becomes new. So you continue in sin that calm may abound. You're going to allow that to grow? Look at all the things that are growing on the earth today. And guess what happens right here? And it says right here, temple destroyed. Our psaltery is laid on the ground. Our song is put to silence. Our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out. And people say, how do you know your candlestick put out? He said, 10 virgins. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. 5 kept their lamps continually burning. The other ones allowed their lamp to go out. Because he prepared a tent for the sun. They prepared a tent for the sun, and therefore their lamp didn't go out. But Saum, the city that was destroyed, that was taken captive, their lamp went out. Their candlestick went out. And it says, the ark of our covenant is spoiled, the Kudash things are defiled. What happened to you? He says, and the name that is called upon is almost profane. That's what's happening inside of a person's body. It says, our psaltery is laid to the ground. Our songs is put to silence. And rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out. That's what's happening to you. And guess what happens? The ark of the covenant is spoiled. The Qahalath things are defiled. What was inside of the ark? The Torah and Aaron, the rod that budded. He's saying, what's happening inside of you? Because if the sun is inside, then guess what happens? Then the light shines, just like the summertime, and the fruits appear. And it says right here, and the name that is called upon is almost profane. Because you know what Yahuwah said, the name of Yahuwah is blasphemed among the going because of you. He said, why is he saying a woman's candlestick? He's like, man, you're like a candlestick lit. A woman in the ordering of a house. In the book of Sirach. Why would he say that? You're like a candlestick lit. But he said, if your light go out, then guess what happens? He said, the name of Yahuwah profane. He said, the name of Yahuwah blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you going. The same Gentiles are supposed to see the light. That's supposed to be, he said, they come to what you're doing. And it says right here, our children are put to shame. Because he said, let me just read in Romans chapter 10, Romans chapter 9, Romans chapter 10, he said that they that believe in you, Yahushua Mashiach, ain't going to be put to shame. He said, our children are put to shame, our priests are burnt, our Levites are gone into captivity, our virgins are defiled, huh? He said, I got 10 virgins. Amazingly, Asenath, who wasn't even defiled, and her 7 virgins she had would be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. They all were virgins. But amazingly, it says your virgins are defiled. I've seen 10 virgins. 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. He said, man, the virgins are defiled. What do you think them 5 virgins were? They were defiled. Why do you think they had to go get some oil? The name of Yahuwah profaned inside of them. They had to get some more oil for them to actually continually burn. He said, I don't know if my lamp went out. Are your songs put to silence? Your psaltery laid on the ground? Is your string instrument laid on the ground? Is it on the ground? The light of your candlestick has been put out. And the name of Yahuwah is profaned inside of you. And guess what it says? The priests are burnt, the Levites into captivity, the virgins are defiled, and our wives ravished. Our righteous men carried away, and our little ones destroyed. Our young men are brought into bondage, and our strong men have become weak. He said, man, they've become, he's like, the strong men have become weak. What's going on? And guess what it says? And that which is the greatest of all, the seal of Saum, the seal, Yahuwah said, having the seal, I know Yahuwah knows those are his. And they ain't got none of those traits. And it says, and the greatest of all, the seal of Saum, have now lost her honor. Now it don't even look good anymore. To have the seal of the Yahuwah on your forehead. It don't even feel good to an individual anymore. Because their lamp done put out. They don't even want the seal anymore. They don't even care. And get what it says. The seal has lost its honor. It's just like circumcision in the flesh. It used to be only for Abraham's house. Right? It used to only be for a certain group of people. He said it lost its honor. Even the seal of Yahuwah in their forehead has lost its honor because Saum is laid waste. He said the 12 gates, the 12 tribes, everybody laid waste. Everybody's all over the place. All out of disorder. Nothing's actually looking even, perfect. And it says, for she is delivered into the hands of them that hate us. And guess what happens? And therefore, shake off thy great heaviness and put away the multitude of sorrows, that the mighty may be merciful unto thee again. And the highest shall give thee rest and ease from thy labor. But he said, man, everybody become weak. Right? This is the book of This is 1 Timothy 3 and 6. 1 Timothy 3 and 6. 1 Timothy 3 and 6. It says, if you put these things before the brothers, it says you will be a good servant of Yahushua Mashiach, brothers and sisters, being trained in the words of Amunah, the word of faith, being trained in the words of the law that Mashah said. No, he's saying being trained in the word of faith, Amunah, belief. Because belief had a lot more power than just keeping, I say, just by the law of Moses. Why? Because the belief is different. The same thing when Jonathan went to go fight the Philistines, it was just him and his armor bearer. He said, you 2 or 3 touch and agree, it shall be done. Why do you think he was running on the ground like a lion? The strong man, who was the weak one hiding in the cave? Saul and his people. But there was only 2 people outside running against the army by themselves, because they ain't weak. We just talked about it. The men of Saul were made weak. He said the Levites gone into captivity. The whole place was just plundered. The lamp candlestick them went out. So you gotta ask yourself, has your lamp gone out? He said, why is it gone out? And it says right here, 1 Timothy 1 and 6 says, if you put these things before the brothers and sisters, you will be a good servant of Yahushua Mashiach, being trained in the words of Amunah and of the good doctrine that you have followed. Have nothing to do with irrelevant, silly myths. They say things that he say silly. It's irrelevant. He say, Mr. Irrelevant, that is irrelevant. All these silly myths, these charts, and all these things that people come up with, all this stuff, that's the myths. This being things people just made up. Because all the people of the promise ain't the children, all Yasharal ain't the people of the promise. And all the people of the promise ain't the children of Yasharal. And it says, rather train yourselves in all godliness. For while bodily training is of some value, it does have value because it ain't going to make you weak. It's going to make you weak. It has some value. Godliness is a value in every way. And the bodily training that was in times past with Yehuda and Yasharal was not that. It was weapons training. It was running training, hunting training. It was things that people don't do today. It was farming training. You go farm for about 5 hours. You'll see how tired you are. And it just hit the noontime. And I started at 7, it's noontime. I got noon, and then I got all the way to the end of the day. You'll be tired after that. You'll find out how strong you get. He said, you feel how strong you get when you start lifting up barrels of water, and you going to water some camels and going down in the cistern and climbing up the stairs and going back down and going back up every single day. When you walking and you shearing sheep and you doing all that stuff, you'll find out how strong you get. You'll find out how strong you get. Right? And he say, grinding up powder, grinding up flour on a rock, and you keep moving your arm around over and over again, you find out how strong your hands get. Your hands get real strong. And your arms get real strong. He says, why you talk about a virtuous woman, her arms are strong? People saying, why? Because you start grinding that powder with a rock and you start grinding it and you start moving your arm back and forth over and over again, believe you me, you got to have some strong arm to do that. But it says right here, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of the value in every way, as it holds the promise of the present life and also for the life to come. The promise of the present life. Yeah, there's a promise to you in this present life. Things you're supposed to acquire, things you're supposed to achieve and accomplish. There's a promise in this life and in the world to come. Right? There's a promise, right? So this is the book of This is the book of Psalms. It's the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 100 and Proverbs 24 and 5. Proverbs 24 and 5. It says, a wise man is full of strength, And a man of knowledge enhances his might, his koah, his strength. He said enhances his might. So bodily exercise does profit. It does give you, make you strong, outwardly weak. It don't make you look weak. But also inward man's strength allows you to enhance your might and your strength. So you ain't gonna be weak. Because we talked about how the whole city, he said, what you weeping for? He look at Solomon. Look at how desolate it is. The harp and the psalteries are not even being played anymore. The songs have been made desolate. The candlestick done went out. The Levites and the people done been scattered abroad. The people and the men have become weak. The mighty men have fallen in war. He said, you enhance your might. Verse says, and it says, for by wise guidance you can wage your war. And man, everybody become weak. And in abundance of counselors there is victory. He said, man, look at Solomon. Look at what happened to him. Look at what happened to him, right? He said they don't went weak. He said everybody done got weak, right? So this is the book of let me go in the Testament of Judah. No, man. This is the book of Proverbs 20:29. Proverbs 20:29. Proverbs 20:29. Proverbs 20:29. Proverbs 20:29. Proverbs 20:29. It says, the glory, the kabod of young men is their strength. He said everybody become weak. That's naturally and spiritually, mentally in thought and mind and in body. He said the glory of the young men is their strength, their koah. But the splendor of old men is their gray hair. That's the wise men. Old men are different from young men. Young men are supposed to be strong. Older men are supposed to be wise. The gray hair, like, man, you've been here for a while. He's like, yeah, I've been here for a while. I see the gray hair on you. You've been here for a while. And you have the young men. Guess what? The young men are supposed to be strong. He said, the young men weak, and the old men have lost their wisdom. The candlestick done went out. The young men and women, women and men have lost their strength. Old women and old men have lost their wisdom. They ain't wise no more. And the young men are all weak. He said they lost their strength. He said, for the glory of the young men is their strength. Right? This is the book of Yeshayahu. This is Yeshayahu. Isaiah 3:18. In that day, Yahuwah will take away the finely anklets and the headbands and the crescents and the pendants and the bracelets and the scarves and the headdresses and the armlets and the sashes and the perfume boxes and the amulets and the signet rings and the nose rings and the festal robes and the mantles and the cloaks and the handbags and the mirrors and the linen garments and the turbans and the veils. Instead of perfume, there will be rottenness. Instead of a belt of rope, instead of well-set hair, baldness. He said, well-set hair. He said, why would that be? He said, man, look at Solomon. The lamps have been put out. He said, what happened? He said, well-set hair. He's like, oh, what do you think he's doing right here? Baldness, and instead of rich robes, a skirt of sackcloth. And branding instead of beauty. Why? Because they disobedient to Yahuwah, the bar, so he said to not be, to tell them, y'all getting ready to go into captivity, you're going to have everything taken away from you, and you're going to be plundered, and your lamp going to be put out. Your lamp going to be put out. So what do you think all these things he's taking away represents? Your lamp being put out. Your near being put out. Your lampstand. Because you prepared a tent for the sun. You're supposed to have your lamp continually burning. But guess what happens? You disobeyed the commandment, and guess what? Now your lamp went out. Now instead of well-set hair, he said baldness, right? So this book of, he said your lamp didn't be put out. He said your lamp has been put out, right? This is the book of Yeshayahu, or Proverbs 6, Proverbs 6:22. Actually, Yeah, Proverbs 6:22. Proverbs 6:22. Proverbs 6:22. Proverbs 6:22 says, when you walk, they will lead you. Actually, go over to 6:10:20. Proverbs 6:20. My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. We just talked about your root. You see Saul, the mother? You see what happened to him? The teaching that was coming from Saul has now been the candlestick done went out. You done went out. So therefore, I got to take away everything you had. So therefore, man, your candlestick don't went out, man. You used to have this, because remember we talked about in Romans, talking about a promise in this life and the next. What do you think the promise in this life is? He talking about you're the light of the world. What do you think he's talking about? He's like, you're the light of the world. And guess what it says? My son, keep your father's commandments and forsake not the teaching of your mother. Bind them around your heart always. Because you put it's a new covenant with the house of Yahshua. Not the old one, when I brought them out of Mizraim. He said, I'm going to write it in their laws and put it in their mind. I ain't going to put it on those stones and tablets. I'm going to put it inside of your heart and your mind. So tie them around your neck. You know how these people got the chains, iced out chains and things that they wear on their neck? He said, tie them around your neck. Write them, when you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. Speak these words when you sit in the house, walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. These things are going to be all over you, in your heart and your mind. It says, for the commandment is the lamp, and the teaching is the light. So he's saying, well, man, he don't put the candlestick out. Look at Solomon. He said, look at the parched place. Look at the place that's thirsty. The mountain. Solomon says, and the reproofs and discipline are a way of life. To cop. It's a way of life. To preserve you from the evil woman and the smooth tongue of the adulterous woman. We say from the evil woman and the adulterous woman. He said, those who go against Yahuwah. Those who go against his commandments. Those who go against things that he's written. Right, so this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, verse 2. Now I commend you because you remember me in everything and maintain the traditions even as I delivered them to you. But I want you to understand that the head of every ish is Mashiach, and the head of the woman or wife is her husband. He said, why would he say head of the wife is the husband? He said, why would he call him a husbandman? Because a husband sows seed. And the head of Mashiach is Yahuwah. Every man who prays or nabas with his head covered dishonors his head. People saying, what is he talking about here? And it says right here, but every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. Since in the same as if her head were shaven. He talking about hair. He said, it's the same as if her hair was shaven. Why would you cut a woman's hair? That's her what? Why would you cut her hair? Well set hair, baldness. Why would you cut a woman's hair? Are you out of your mind? Why would you want to cut your hair off? Sewn? Why would you do that, woman? Because a woman, people saying, why he compared in the book of Chazon, he talks about a woman clothed with the sun. Because she looked just like him, got the crowns and everything. Matter of fact, not only with the crown, it said 12 stars on it. Why would you cut that woman's hair? Why would you make her bald? It says right here, for if a wife will not cover her head, then she should cut her hair short. He's like, you gonna cut your hair? He's like, cut your hair short. And it says why? But since it is a disgraceful for a wife to cut her hair, is it disgraceful now? No. Now it's a style. It's a style. Because why? It says cut her hair. It says it is a disgraceful thing for a wife to cut her hair. Why? Because it says well set hair is baldness. That's like your lamp being put out in Yeshayahu chapter 3. It's just like you putting your lamp out. It's just like how he took all away all those things and do what? Their lamp went out. The same way when you go all the way back to many other things that we're not going to discuss today. But it says right here, for if a wife will not cover her head, then she should cut her hair short. But since it is disgraceful for a wife to cut her hair or to shave her head, let her cover her head. It says, for a man ought to not to cover his head, since he is the image of the kabod of Elohim, but woman is the kabod of man. What did Asenath have on her face when she went to go see Yusuf? When she decked herself, when she came to Yusuf and Joseph and Asenath, what did she put on her face? What did she put over her head? A veil. She put a veil over her head. A veil. Like you cover herself with a veil. Why? It's like a bride adorned for her husband. It's like a bride adorned for her husband. She put a veil. When Rebecca came to Yitzhak and she came to see him and said, who's the master coming to us? He said, that's the master right there. And she put a veil and covered her head. Because it was like a bride adorned for her husband. He said, why would you cut a woman's head? Why? Because he said in Corinth, he said people didn't want to do that. But that was the traditions of people in times past. Right, but it says right here, for a man ought to cover his head with a veil. Why would I cover my head with a veil? Since he is the image of the kabod of Yahuwah, but the woman is the kabod of the man. They say that's a veil. You put a veil is different from, they say, a head wrap. You know how they have a head wrap? They put the head wrap. It's a veil. But it says right here, for a man was not made for woman, but woman for man. Man was not made from woman, but woman from man. Neither was man created for woman, but woman for man. He said that's the kabod of you. That's the glory of Saon. The hair of a woman was the glory of Saon. The kabod of Saon. People saying the Saon. What do you mean? That's the glory of Saon. The man's kabod was his strength. We say, why would he say that? Her hair was her glory, her kabod. Right, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 1. Numbers 6 and 1. Numbers 6 and 1. It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the people of Yasharal and say to them, when either a man or woman makes a special vow, the vow of a Nazarite, a man or what? A man or a woman make the vow of a Nazarite to separate himself to Yahuwah, he shall separate himself from the wine and strong drink. He shall not drink no vinegar made from wine or strong drink, and shall not drink any juice, this is the ESV, of the grapes, to eat grapes, fried or dry, all the days of his separation. He shall eat nothing that is produced by the grapevine, not even the seeds of the skins. And all the days of his vow of his separation, no razor shall touch his head. He's saying, why would he do that? He's saying, you should not even eat the grapevine. He said, why are you just talking about eat my flesh and drink my blood? You have no life in you. People saying, why he do that? He said, you're a Nazarite, but you're going to eat from the grapevine? He said, you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. He said, I'm the vine, you are the branches. You can do nothing without me. There you go. Verse 5 says, all the days of his vow of separation, no razor shall touch his head until the time is completed, for which he separates himself to Yahuwah. He shall be Kudash. he shall let the locks of his hair grow long. He said, he let the locks of his hair grow long. He shall let the locks of his hair grow long. All the day that separate himself to Yahuwah, he shall not go near a dead body. He said, man, you can't go near nothing dead. A wasp, a bee, a deer, nothing dead. A human being. Man, you totally separating yourself from everything. And get what he said. And he said, you should let your hair grow long. He said, how long is that? Real long. He said, man, if a man have long hair, isn't that a shame for him? He's like, why would a man have long hair? He said, why would a man have long hair? Because in that congregation, in 1 Corinthians 11, they were trying to distinguish between a man and a woman. Who's a man and who's a woman? Because you couldn't tell. Because it was like, okay, everybody looking the same. He's like, okay, you cut your hair. A man ain't doing no covering no veil. A woman only covers and covers the veil. And a woman ain't only supposed to have long hair. In order to distinguish between man and woman. He said, in our customs and traditions, men and women had long locks. We always had long locks. And people saying, what's long locks? You know what a long lock is. You know when your hair is too long, you need to cut it. And you know when your hair is too short. Does not nature teach you that? But it says right here, all the day he separate himself to Yahuwah, he shall go no near a body. He said locks. You know how people say? He said, why would you want to do that? Right, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 44, verse 19. Yekaziel, chapter 4, verse 19. Yekaziel, chapter 4, verse 17. I don't have nothing. This is verse 44, I'm sorry. Yekaziel, Ezekiel 44, 17. Yekaziel, Ezekiel 44, 17. It says, when they enter the gates of the inner court, they shall wear linen garments. He said, bad garments. Bayith Daleth. Amazingly how they say when they enter the inner courts, they shall wear linen garments. Bayith Daleth. What do you mean Bayith Daleth? That's Bob. That's what the word for linen is. Bob. Not bad, Bob. Bayith Daleth. The door of the house. When you go through the door of the house, you gotta wear linen. Bob. Man, you bad. You in there, you bad. Yeah, exactly. And guess what it says right here? And it says right here, they shall have nothing of wool or of them while they minister at the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen turbans on their heads and their linen undergarments around their waists. They shall not bind themselves with anything that causes sweat. Right? All these things that they did. And it says, and when they go out into the outer court to the people, they shall put off the garments in which they have been ministering and lay them in the Kudash chambers. People saying, why would they do that? You see, because when they finish, it says, and when they go out of the outer court to the people, they shall put off the garments in which they have been ministering and lay them in the Kudash chambers. Right, so this is the book of. Right, so this is the book of. This is the book of New Testament. He say, like they say, the New Testament. This is Luke 24. Luke 24 and 7. Luke 24 and 7. Luke Oriel 24 and 7. The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified on the third day rise. And they remembered his words. Right? He said, do you remember? They remembered his words. And returning to the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and all the rest. Now it was Mary Magdalene and Johanna and Mary, the mother of James, and the other woman with them who told these things to the Shalakim, but these were seen to them as idle tales. It was like, he said some myth. You know, he said irrelevant myth. It was like an irrelevant myth. And it says, and they did not believe them. They didn't believe that stuff. He said women came. Right? They see women came, other women came, and guess what happened? Man, we don't believe that stuff, man. You a woman. You ain't supposed to be teaching nothing. You supposed to be saying nothing to it. He said the women came, they were like, we don't believe what y'all talking about. Because we talked about both male and female, if they take a Nazarite vow and they separate themselves from the wine, and matter of fact, he said let their locks grow long. Right, and it says right here, but these words seemed to them as an idle tale. And they did not believe them. They didn't believe the words coming from them. But Qahalath rose and ran to the tomb, stooping and looking in, and he saw the linen cloths by themselves. Because when we just read in Ezekiel 44, it said when he finished with the ministering in the temple, he said he shall take off his linen garment. He goes to the people. Because he left out of the tomb. He was inside of the tomb. He was inside of the tomb. What was he doing? Ministering. To who? It says the linen clothes by themselves, and he went home marveling at what happened. He saw, I saw the linen garments by themselves in the tomb. He said, well, he in the tomb. Right, so this is going back to Ezekiel chapter 44. Y'all, Ezekiel chapter 44. Ezekiel chapter 44. Ezekiel, right, so this is Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 20. Actually, going back, verse 18. They shall have linen turbans on, verse 18, 44:18. They shall have linen turbans on their head and linen undergarments around their waist. They shall not bind themselves with anything that causes sweat. And when they go out into the outer court to the people, what do you think Yahushua rose on the third day? He was going to the outer court of the people. He was going out to the people now. He was inside of the tomb, ministering. How he said, to those who were once disobedient before the flood, as Peter wrote. And when they had go out into the outer court to the people, they shall put off the garments in which they have been ministering. Why do you think he put off the garments and left them right there folded? The linen garments. It said ministering and lay them in the Kudash chambers. Why do you think he left it in the Kudash chamber? Because that was a tomb where no man has ever been laid. It was Kudash. Nobody's ever touched it. It was a virgin. Right, you don't want to get graphic, but just like a woman will open the seed, the sperm would go inside. Yeah, it was actually germinated inside for 3 days and 3 nights, and then eventually the child was born. Yeah. And it says right here, and they shall put on other garments. Why do you think he just walked out of there naked? It says lest they transmit Kudashness to the people with their garments, lest they transmit holiness, it says right here, or Kudash to the people with their garments. He said, why would he say they shall put on other garments, lest they transmit Kudash to the people with their garments? Why would he do that? And it said right here, they shall not shave their heads or let their locks grow long. He said, why would he do that? He said, they don't even supposed to let their locks grow long, and they're not even supposed to shave their head. And people saying, what? Traditions. People say, why Shaul talking about traditions to some people in 1 Corinthians? Because they ain't supposed to be doing it. He said, why are you going to shave your head for it? Isn't that your kabod? Isn't it like a shameful thing, disgraceful thing for you to do that? And for a man, you're not even supposed to have your hair locks grow long. But women, man, that's their kabod. That's their well-set hair. Why would you want to cut your hair? For a man, why would you want to have your locks long? Why would you want to do that? If you're doing the ministering and all these things. But it says right here, he said, oh, you're going to look like a woman. Are you in the separation? Because you wouldn't be doing it. You wouldn't be nowhere near nobody. If you were really on your separation like a Nazarite, you wouldn't be nowhere near it. But it says right here, no priest shall drink wine when he enters into the inner court. If you were a Nazarite, you wouldn't be doing none of this. Amazingly how you see a priest that's doing things, and he said they want, and in the court, you ain't supposed to be drinking that. So I'm finna drink some wine and get into the ruach. That's not gonna happen. You finna get into some other things. Right? The same way when you have you say you ain't supposed to let your hair grow long either. Your locks. Because you want to be able to know, okay, are you on a Nazarite vow or are you not on a Nazarite vow? Because people need to know. Or why are you shaving your head for? You sinning? Because that's the only reason you don't have baldness on your head. Why he take away the daughters of Solomon? Why he take everything away? Well, said hair baldness, because you sinning, because they were sinning. Right? But it says right here, they shall not marry, you're not going to go there. But all that. But so going to Second Ezra chapter 14, I believe. Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 18. 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 Actually, 14, 17. Actually, let's go 14, 14. Actually, 14, 11. It says, for the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts are gone already, and half of the 10th part. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th. Ain't that many left? Now therefore, set thine house in order. Set thy house in order. You. And reprove thy people, and comfort such of them as be in trouble. And now renounce corruption. He's like, those who are in trouble, and renounce corruption. Let go of your mortal thoughts. Cast away the burden of man, and put off now the weak nature. He said, you weak. He said, the weak nature, the flesh. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee. He said, the weighty things. Why? Because he said, we are surrounded with so great a cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight. Because thoughts can weigh you down. And the sin that's so easy to set us. And haste thee, it says, and haste thee to flee from these times. Right? So people say, what do you need to run? He said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that they read and may run from these times. You see what we in? From these times. And it says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. You know what's getting ready to happen? People think the world is raw now. The evil is now. It's evil now. No, what's getting ready to happen now? After, as tomorrow comes in, the sun goes down, it's going to get more evil. Then another day goes and the sun goes down, it gets more evil. And the sun goes down, it gets more evil. It ain't going to stop. And it says right here, it says, for the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasteth the visions to come, which thou hast seen. Then answered I before thee, and said, behold, I go as thou commandest me, and reprove thy people which are present. But they that shall be born afterward, who shall admonish them? Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein are without light. Right? So we just talking about Shalom. He said, man, he said that the tongue give you his fruits and his light. But it says right here, for the law is burnt. Therefore no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or the works that shall begin. But if I have found calm before thee, send thy Kudash Ruach into me. Send thy Kudash Ruach into me, and I shall write all that have been done in the world since the beginning, which were written in the law, that men may find thy path, and that they which will live in the later days may live. And he answered me, saying, Go thy way, and gather people together, and say unto them that seek thee not for 40 days. See, for 40 days. He's like, what's going to happen in 40 days? And he said, write it. He said, write these books. And it says right here, that men may find thy path. He said, find it. And it says, and that they which will live in the latter days may live. He's saying that you may live, that you may find the path, that you may live. And he's saying, put your Qahalath Ruach on me. It says, and I shall write all that have been done in the world since the beginning. Well, he's going to write it. And it says, which were written in the law, and the men may find thy path, and that which will live in the latter days may live. And he answered me, saying, Go thy way, gather the people together, and say unto them that they that seek thee not for 40 days. But look, thou prepare the many box trees, and take with thee Caesarea, Dabria, Selima, Iconeus, Aziel, which are ready to write swiftly. It says, and come hither that I shall light a candle, that I may light a candle of understanding in thine heart. He said, light a candle of understanding. We talked about how he said the lamps of Solomon went out. The songs they've been playing, the lyres are not being strung. The people are going to captivity. People ain't doing it. He said the candlestick that been put out. The men become weak. Everything's been taken away. And you weeping for your only son. And the only son was the one. The only son was son. He said the candlestick was put out. But he said, give me the Qahalath Ruach. And guess what happens? In a light of understanding, a candlestick of understanding has been lit. It says, therefore, and it says right here, and it says, and come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thine heart. And he said, 5 are wise and 5 are foolish. 5 the lamps continually burning, which shall not be put out. The candlestick ain't, because you got to have understanding to keep the candlestick lit. Because he prepared a tent for the sun. He said, great is an inheritance, and it profited him to see the sun. Your lamp no went out. He said, that will not be put out till the things be performed which thou shalt begin to write. He's talking about till the things be performed that you begin to write. Right, so this is the book of, I think it's Yukonon. This is the book of Yukonon 7 and 5. 7 and 6. Actually, 7 and 7. Ask, and it will, Matthew 7 and 7. Matthew 7 and 7. Matthew 7 and 7. It says, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds. And the one who knocks, it will be open. What do you mean? A candlestick, it's going to be lit. A candlestick of understanding that will not be put out. Because people want to have their candlestick lit. We said, but you haven't even asked. He said, what? Seek. You shall find. Knock, and the door will be open. He said, man, I ain't got no more oil. Because where were the 10 virgins at? They were waiting by the door. Hey man, our lantern went out. See if I open up a window of Charmaine and pour you out a rock that you have no room enough to receive. People saying, why are you going to open the window? Your lantern went out. Here you go. Man, our lantern went out. Here you go. Man, our lamp continually burning. He said 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. You know what the wise people did? they went to go ask, hey, my lamp don't went out. My lamp almost out. Here you go. You know what the foolish did? They didn't want to ask, they didn't want to seek, and they didn't want to find. And they didn't want to ask you for no oil. So guess what happened? Go to those who buy, because you're a consumer. You like to buy. You like to buy and sell. Yahushua told us in the book of Yeshua, he said, come to me, all those and purchase this without price. And you ain't got to pay for this. I'll give it to you for free. Right? He said, knock and it shall be, he said, seek and it shall find, right? So this is the book of Yuchanan chapter 1. Yuchanan chapter 1, verse 20, Yuchanan chapter 1, verse 6. John chapter 1, verse 6. There was a man sent from Yahuwah whose name was Yuchanan. He came to bear witness about the light, or that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light. Why? Just like the law was the what? The law was the schoolmaster and or to bring you to the end of the law, which was Yahushua Mashiach. Just like Shaul said. That's what Yuchanan was doing. He was making it back. He was lining everything back up because everybody went astray to getting to the end of the law, which is Yahushua Mashiach. That's what it says. And he was not the light. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light, the true light, which gives to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him, that he didn't believe. I came to my own people. But all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become the children of Yahuwah, who were born not of the blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Yahuwah. Because he gave him a candlestick of understanding that will not be put out. He said, you seek and you'll find. He said, they'll find their way back in this path. He said, but I'm going to write it. He said, for 40 days, do not seek me. Matter of fact, he told Ezra, 40 days don't seek me. And you write these words that people that they may read, they may find their path back. And they may find it. Because you got to seek it in order to find it. Right, so this is the book of Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. And it says, and Yahushua was led by the Ruach into the wilderness, and he was tempted by Satan. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. He said, tell the people, don't seek me for 40 days. What do you think Yahushua was right here? Don't seek me for 40 days. Nobody was coming to him for these 40 days. Yahushua was alone for 40 days by himself. I wonder what he was actually getting to write in books. But you think he was getting ready to write it in a book? You think he was getting ready to write this? No, he was getting ready to put it on people's heart and mind. Because he was that new covenant that he was making. And it says, in 40 days, and he was hungry. And the tempter came to him, if you are the son of Yahuwah, command these stones become loaves of bread. Command these stones become a bunch of meat loaves. Command these stones to do something. He said, command these stones to be turned to bread. But he answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every debar that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Why do you think Ezra is writing it down for 40 days? Every debar that comes from Yahuwah, because he said, are you going to live by every debar that comes from Yahuwah? Then the devil, Satan, took him to the Gudal city and set him on a pinnacle of the temple and said to him, if you are the son of Yahuwah, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his malakim charging over you. And on the other hands, they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And Yahushua said again, it is written, you shall not put Yahuwah to the test. You shouldn't do it. Right? So this is 2nd Ezra, going back to 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 31. Actually, yeah. Chapter 14, verse, chapter 14, verse 22. It says, but if I have found Khan before thee, send thy Kudash Ruach in me, and I shall write all that has been done in the world since the beginning, which were written in the law. Because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yahuwah, and the world was made by him. But it says, that men may find their path, and that they which will live in the latter days may live. And he answered me, saying, go thy way, gather the people together, and say unto them that seek thee not for 40 days. Why do you think Yahushua was fasting for 40 days? But amazingly, how did he get out there in the wilderness? Because he said, you cannot say, I saw the Ruach descend on him like a dove, and it rested upon him. And then it said, then Yahushua was carried off into the wilderness. And it says right here, and it says, and he answered me, verse 23, go thy way and gather the people together and say unto them that seek thee not for 40 days, but look to prepare the many box trees, and take with thee Sierra, Dabria, Salima, Ichemius, and Deziel, there 5 which are ready to write swiftly, and come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thine heart, which shall not be put out, till the things be performed which thou shalt begin to write. And when thou hast done, some things thou shalt publish, and some things thou shalt show secretly to the wise. Tomorrow, this hour, thou begin to write. Then I went forth, and I commanded and gathered all the people together, and said, hear these words, O Yasharal. Our fathers at the beginning were strangers in Mizraim, and from whence they were delivered, and received the law of the Torah of life, which they kept not, which ye also have transgressed after them. Then was the land, even the land of Saum, parted among you by lot. But your father and ye yourselves have done unrighteousness, and have not kept the ways which the highest commanded you. And for as much as he is a righteous judge, he took from you in time the things that he has given you. Why do you think he said the daughters of Saum were haughty? Why do you think he took all the things from Jerusalem and all the people? Why do you think he cast and all the mighty men were destroyed? And all the women, how you say, he said, I'm going to kill all your mighty men in war, even after he took everything from them. And then what did he do after that? Then he said, 7 women going to take hold of 1 man. After he do all of that, 7 women going to take hold of 1 man. The 7 pillars of cities of refuge. He said, we're going to wear our own clothes and buy our own apparel. Let us just be called by your name. You ain't even got to take care of it. He's like, man, just to be called by your name. He said, you're going to be 7 pillars in the city of refuge. And those 7 streams that he smote in to gather his people, these 7 streams are the 7 days of creation. And you look at the 7 days and the 7 washings that even the king had to go into the river Yarden to wash himself from all the filth and turn his skin into a child. And even Yahushua said, what? If you don't humble yourself like a child, you ain't never going to enter the Malkut. He said, why would he do that? You got to go through the 7 streams, even the 7 cogs and the muaz and the 7 celestial circles to enter into the Malkut of Shamayim. You got to travel through all of it. And you have to go through every season. You got to go through every month until you get your rest. And all these are a part of it. But he said, I'm going to put a light of candle of understanding that will not be put out. He said, why? So this is the book of right, so this is the book of where we at? Zechariah. Actually, yeah, this book of Zechariah. This is the book of Zechariah. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 3, verse 4. Zechariah, chapter 3, verse 4. Zechariah, chapter 3, verse 4. And the angel, the Malak, who talked with me, came again and woke me, like a man awaking out of his sleep. Right, just like how you wake up out of your sleep and you startled, that's the way he woke him. And he said, just like a man woke out of his sleep. And he said to me, what do you see? I said, I see, behold, a lampstand, all of gold. It says, with a bowl on the top of it, and 7 lamps on it. It had 7 lamps. He said, he who holds the 7 stars in his right hand. What is he holding in his right hand? He who holds the 7 stars in his right hand. Who holds the 7 streams in the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 11. He's smoking the 7 strings, and he's going to gather his people from the 4 winds of the 4 corners of the earth. He said, who holds the 7 streams? He who holds the 7 celestial circles in his hand. He said, 7 lamps on it, and with 7 lips on each of the lamps. He's like 7 lips. It says, that are on top of it. And there are 2 olive trees by it. Man, 2 olive trees. What is the pure oil was made for? The beaten oil. He said that the lamps can continually burn. He said, I'm a light a candle of understanding inside of you that your lamp don't get put out. He said, what happened to Jerusalem? The whole city don't went out. The whole Solomon. The whole body. He said the lyre ain't being stringed, the songs ain't being sung, the people made silent. And it said right here, and there are 2 olive trees by it, on the right of the bowl, and on the other, on its left. Why do you think Yahushua was in between 2 thieves? He said, what bowl he was inside? He was in between 2 thieves, one on the right and one on the left. And amazingly, the 2 olive trees were the ones that was deriding him and saying things about him. But he was just like in the middle. Man, it was 7 bowls with 7, how you say? With 7 lips. Man, he had 7 lips and 7 bowls. His lamp didn't go out though. Even though the 2 olive trees on the left and the right were running their mouth. And it says right here, and I said to the Malak who talked with me, what are these, my master? Then the Malak who talked with me answered and said to me, do you not know what these are? I said, no, my master. Then he said to me, this is the word of Yahuwah to Zerubbabel, not by might, nor by power, not by your co-op, not by your wealth, not by your money, not by power. That's what power is. And I breathe, but I ain't going to go there. But it says, what? Power, but by my ruach, says Yahuwah of hosts. What did Ezra say? He said, pour your ruach upon me. Then he said, what? A light of understanding was lit inside of him that his candle don't get put out. And guess what happens? By your ruach, says Yahuwah of hosts, who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forward the top stone. He shall bring forward the top stone amid shouts of Khan to it. He will bring forward the top stone. Then the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, the hand of Zerubbabel has laid the foundation of this house, and his hands shall also complete it. His hands going to complete it. But it says right here, and he's going back, and it says, and he shall bring forward the top stone and the shouts of Khan to it. Then the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, the hand of Zerubbabel has laid the foundation of this house. His hands also shall complete it. Then you will know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me to you. He's like, his hand's going to complete it. It says, for whoever has despised the day of small things shall rejoice and shall see the plumb line in the land of Zerubbabel. These 7 are the 7 eyes of Yahuwah. which range through the whole earth. He said, the 7 eyes. Yeah. The 7 eyes of Yahuwah. What do you think them cities of refuge were? The 7 virgins who were the 7 pillars in the city of refuge. What do you think those 7 congregations are in the book of Qahalath? What do you think they were? What do you think they are? The 7 eyes. Why do you think he smote in the 7 streams? He's going to gather his people from the islands of the sea, from Petros, from all around the 4 corners. Why are you doing that? Through the 7 eyes. Because I'm going to see what you're doing before you come in to Jerusalem itself. And it says, which reigns throughout the whole earth. Then I said to him, because you know what eyes are used for? To watch. Why do you think Yahushua said, watch under prayer? That you may not enter into temptation. What do the watchmen do? They stand on the wall and they watch. Why? Because when war comes, when things come, you already know, you see it coming. Because you're a watchman. Why do you think he said watch under prayer? Why do you think Yahushua already knew when Judas and Yehuda were coming? He said, go sleep on. Sleep on. My betrayer is coming. And it says, then I said to him, what are these 2 olive trees? On the right and on the left of the lampstand. He said, talking about a lamp being put out. Why do you think he's talking about Saun, his lamp, the lamp of Saun being put out? Who is Saun? These 2 olive trees on the right and left. It says on the right and on the left of the lampstand. And a second time I answered and said to him, what are these 2 branches of the olive trees? 2 branches. How many arms you got? And it says, which are beside the 2 golden pipes from which the golden oil is poured out. The golden oil. We're supposed to make pure beaten oil for the lamps continue to burn. It's supposed to be beat. Why do you think Yahushua would beat? But it says right here, is poured out. He said to me, do you not know what these are? Do you know what they are now? He said, why you got two arms? Oh, we talked about Nu and Nuf, waving your sheaf. We talked about how you wave your arms. We talked about your 2 hands and your 2 arms. We talked about your 10 sephirots. Matter of fact, we didn't talk about that. But then you start looking at your body. He said, why? He said, do you not know what these are? I said, no, my master. Then he said, these are the 2 anointed ones who shall stand by Yahuwah of the whole earth, by the master of the whole earth. Who's the master of the whole earth? This is Psalms 50. Psalms 50 and 1. Psalms 50 and 1. It says, the mighty one, Elohim Yahuwah, speaks and summons the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. What does a master do? It tells things to come here and go. Who's the master of the earth? Guess what it says? Out of Saun, Or you mean the place that was the lamp don't put out? Now he's saying, you are the light of the world, a city that cannot be hid. No man lights a candle and put it under the table. He put it on top of the table. It says, out of Saun, the perfection of beauty, Yahuwah shines forth. What do you mean? The perfection of beauty, Yahuwah shines forth. When is perfection of beauty you able to see in the trees? In the olive trees? In the summertime. That's when you see the actual olive tree, you see the actual fruit on the tree. In the summertime. The perfection of beauty of Saun. In the summertime. That's where you see all the fruit. Our Elohim comes, he does not keep silence. Before him is devouring fire. Around him a mighty tempest. He calls to the heavens above and to the earth that he may judge his people. Gather to me the faithful ones. Let not faithfulness, love and faithfulness forsake you. who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. He said, what have you sacrificed? He said, I haven't sacrificed anything. He said, have you sacrificed anything in the world? Have you put things aside? He said, put aside your anger, your strife, your complaining, your murmuring, your complaining, your laziness, your lie. He said, your lying, your lack of compassion, no mercy, lack of unforgiveness. He said, have you sacrificed anything? Have you burned it in the fire? Your hatred, your envy, your strife, your hatred for women, your hatred for men, your hatred for your parents, your hatred for how you grew up, hatred for being in poverty, hatred for your stocks in your portfolio, your cryptocurrency not going up, hatred for your things that people have given you, hatred for people doing kind things for you. He said hatred for that, hatred for the good, hatred for your enemies. He said, what have you sacrificed? What have you put aside? Hatred for Yahuwah's commandments, hatred for even just a kagamua or just singing a song. He said, man, the song's been put out. The people have been what? The lyres are not even being strong. He said, the lamp has been put out. Let us offer up a sacrifice of praise as the fruit of our lips continually. So if you can't do it continually, it means your lamp has been put out. That's what happens. It says, guess what? Our Elohim comes, he does not keep silence. I mean, he ain't going to shut up. You know why Saul ain't going to keep silent? Remember, Saul was made solid before all the people in Ezra. He said, but Yahuwah, he ain't going to keep silent. Before him is a devouring fire, around him a mighty tempest. He calls to the heavens above and to the earth that he may judge his people. Gather to me my faithful ones. Who the master of the earth? Who the master of the earth? Those who have made a covenant by sacrifice. The heavens declare his righteousness, for Elohim himself is judge. Is judge. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Yasharal. I testify against you. Against you. I am Elohim, I am Yahuwah. I am Elohim, your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Not for your sacrifice do I rebuke you. Your burnt offerings are continually before me. I will not accept a bull from your house, or a goat from your folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, of the Ya'ar, and every cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves in the field are mine. I am the master of the earth. I know what I have, and I know what I own, and I know what I put man in charge of, Adam. And I know they were supposed to have done some things, and they ain't done it. And get what he says. Do I eat flesh of bulls? Do I drink the blood of goats? Do I eat blood and drink goats? Do I look like a Nephilim to you? Do I look like I eat sin offerings? Do I look like a children, the offspring of some Jaza, Azazel, and Asbaal? Do I look like I'm the offspring of Satanah? I'm not the offspring of Satanah. I'm not the offspring of some Jaza or Yaldabah. I'm not an offspring of Osmodeus. Do I look like I eat flesh to you? Do I look like I accept sacrifices like Satan of bulls and goats for sin? And it says right here, offer to Yahuwah a sacrifice of thanksgiving. If you ain't singing, what do you think Thanksgiving is? Yadah. That's singing a song, prayer, confession. What is that? Sacrifice. But if your lamp is gone out, you ain't offering nothing. And perform your vows to the Most High Yahuwah, and call upon me in the day of trouble. Call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you shall glorify yourself. Glorify your hand, your mind, your smarts, your intelligence, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding. No. He says, you will glorify me. How you going to do that? With your lamp out? But to the wicked, Yahuwah says, what right have you to recite my statutes and take my covenant in your lips? For you hate discipline, and you cast my words behind you. He's like, you throw it behind you. Because I'm making a new covenant with you. This is Yeshayahu 11. Yeshayahu 11. We almost finished. This is Yeshayahu 11. Yeshayahu 11 and 1. Isaiah 11 and 1. He said, there shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Yeshai, and a branch from his roots shall bear fruit. Well, how many branches were outside on the olive, on the 7 bowls with the 7 eyes, where the lampstand was, the near, lapid, how you say it? His lamp. He said, man, he has devouring fire. Isn't that what Daniel saw? He said his eyes like a flame of fire. Isn't that what they are? 7 eyes. Man, they're like flames of fire. His eyes like flames of fire. I can see you. He said, nah, Yahuwah ain't 7 times brighter. Oh, I forgot. The sun is 7 times brighter than the moon, as Enoch wrote. It's 7 times brighter than the moon. He said, it means like eyes like a flame of fire. Ish lapid. Ayin ish lapid. His eyes are like flame of fire, like flaming torches. Ish lapid. Ayin ish lapid. Flaming torches. It says, and there shall come forth a shoot from Yeshai, and a branch from his roots shall bear fruit. Huh? His fruit. He's talking about your fruit. You know, he said he's going to bear fruit. Who should say, I am the vine, you are the branches? You can do nothing without me. Who do you think he was talking about? And the Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. And then when he told Ruach of Allah, he said, give me your Kodash Ruach in a lamp. He said, I'm going to give you your lampstand. You're going to have a heart of understanding. A lamp that will not be put out. A lamp of understanding that will not be put out. And what he told Ezra? He said, he's Kodash Ruach upon me. The Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. Now, you think the Ruach came upon him? He said, I saw the Ruach just sitting like a dove on him. And it has stayed on him. And the Ruach, it said the Ruach shall rest upon him. The Ruach of counsel and might. It says the Ruach of the fear of Yahuwah. It says, I'm sorry. Verse 2 says, and the Ruach of Yahuwah shall rest upon him. 1. And the Ruach of wisdom and understanding. 3. And the Ruach of counsel and might. 5. It says the Ruach of knowledge and the fear of Yahuwah. 7. And it says right here, and his delight shall be in the fear of Yahuwah. Right? What's going on? And he shall not judge by what his eyes see, or despise disputes by what his ears hear. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and decide the equity of the meek of the earth. And he shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. He said, what comes from Yahuwah's mouth? He said, fire comes from his mouth. And with the breath of his lips, he shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt of his waist, and faithfulness the belt of his loins. Isn't that what he told the people were supposed to have when they went into the inner court and outer court? You're supposed to have linen garments on, and all these things. And he said, you know that locks not supposed to be long either. And he ain't supposed to make baldness on their head. He's like, look at here. He said, faithfulness in the loins. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the lion and the fatted calf together, and the little child shall lead them. In the beginning, Yahuwah said, let us make Adam in his own image and own likeness. Let him have authority of the fish, sea, fowl, every creeping thing over all the earth. And let the plants and the herbs of the sea, let it be for food for them and for the animals. But he said, I saw 7 lampstands. And he said, they ain't going to be put out. He said, I saw 7 eyes too. And they were watching you. He said, I see you. He said, I see you. Right? So this is the last thing. This is the last couple things. So this is Yirmiyahu chapter 31. Yirmiyahu 31. 31. It says, behold, the day, Jeremiah, 31:31. Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda. Who do you think the 2 branches were? that were next to the 7 bowls with the 7 lips. One on the right and one on the left, the 2 olive trees. Who do you think that is? And he said, they're going to stand, these are my anointed ones. Who's going to stand before the whole earth? Who is that? He said, behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, and I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda. Not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim. My covenant that they broke. You ever held a hand with a woman? You hold a hand with a woman, you walk with her, and you get why? You made a covenant together. That's why he made it. That's why he took them by the hand. He said, I'm going to hold your hand the whole way. I'm going to hold your hand while we walk by the way, we lie down and we rise up. I'm going to be there with you. When you sit in the house, walk by the way, you lie down and rise up. He said, guess what? I took them by the hand. And guess what happened? They broke the covenant. Though I was their husband, declares Yahuwah. I was their husband. Who do you think was on the right and on the left? His 2 wives, Yasharal and Yehuda. And they both were to bear fruit. They were just one house. And who do you think was supposed to bear fruit? They were. They were working together to keep the lamp continually burning. Why do you think the olive tree was next to the 7 lampstands? The 7 bowls with the 7 lips, with the 7 congregations. Or he said the 7 pillars and refuge, or the 7 stars. Why do you think there were 12? Why do you think there were olive trees next to it? And they had branches, 2 branches next to it. And they had to keep the 7 cities of refuge burning. What do you think those 7 represented? Why do you think he said he holds the 7 stars in his right hand? Who says that's his right hand? He said, these are my 7 eyes in the earth, my virgins. He said, man, David said, what did David say? He said, I will set no worthless thing before my eyes. People saying, why? Why do you think Yahushua gonna do that? I ain't gonna set no worthless thing before my 7 eyes. I'm gonna look at it, I'm gonna burn it up with my eye. I'm gonna burn it up. And that's what you gotta do to your own life. You see something worthless that ain't bringing no value to you, you gotta burn. I ain't telling you, it's like more like you gotta destroy it in your life, in your own mind. And it says right here, and the house of Yehuda, like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim, my covenant they broke, though I was their husband, declares Yahuwah. He said, man, what do you think a husband do when a wife go out and break the covenant? Man, what in the world? That's the hurt. People are like, nah, that don't hurt. I say, something wrong with you. You ain't in Yahuwah's image. Something wrong with you. That stuff don't hurt you? Man, he said, that don't hurt. And he said, they broke, though I was a husband to them. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal after those days. The whole house, it's all one house. And get what he says, declares Yahuwah, I will put my law within them, my Torah, and I will write them on their hearts. He said, I'm going to write this covenant. You ain't going to never break it. This one's going to be different. And I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. I'm going to be their husband. Again. He said, I saw the bride with 12 stars, a crown, 12 stars on her hair, a crown, clothed with the sun. And he said, man, you know what? This woman pregnant too. He said, man, that's my bride. And get what it says. Declares Yahuwah, and I will put my law within them, and I will write them on their hearts. And I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And no longer will each one teach his neighbor and each his brothers, saying, know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least to the greatest, declares Yahuwah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. I'm gonna forgive everything they did by breaking the covenant the first time, and I will remember it no more. I will never bring it up again, because you know why? They got the laws in their heart and their mind, and they holding my hand and they ain't letting me go. They're not letting me go. So therefore, I'm going to do good to them. And I will remember nothing they've done. Because they turn to my righteousness, just like Ezekiel 18 say, if a righteous man turn from his, forsakes all the things and he does right, he said, I will remember none of his sins anymore. But if he turn from his righteousness and commits that what the wicked person do, he said, I'm going to destroy you just like everybody else. Righteous man or woman or child. And it says, who gives the sun for light by day, huh? the sun by light by day, and fixed the order of the moon and the stars by night. How you say? That's the fourth day of creation. Who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. If these fixed orders depart from before me, how you say, children of the cosmos, the sun, moon, and the stars, shall I, your mother, and your brother fall down and worship you? The children of the, how you say, the people who light the way to the how you say, times, days, and years, and mu'ahs and feasts. He said, you light the way that people may find their path back. And he says what? He said, these fixed orders depart from before me, declared Yahuwah. Then shall the offspring of Yasharal cease from being a nation, even forevermore. You cease from being my bride. That's the only way I'm going to break this. He said, that's when you'll cease from being my wife. That's the only way you're going to cease from being my wife. That's the only way this whole thing going to just end up. And everything that man, he said, ain't no way you can do it. That's the only way you're going to cease from being my wife. You got to break, the stars got to break everything. And everything has got to be totally in disarray. It says, thus says Yahuwah, if the heavens above can be measured and the foundation of the earth can be explored, then I will cast out the offspring of Yasharal for all that they have done, declares Yahuwah. He said, you see all the things that she did to me? If you can do all that, you see all the things that woman did to me, all the bride, the things that she did, the wife that she did, she see all the things the wife did. He said, man, you're going to have to do all that to get me to get rid of this woman. That's how much love Yahuwah has for Yasharal Yahuwah. And people are like, oh, no. He said, man, you got to measure the sun. You got to measure the earth, the whole earth. We talking about all the way down from the lowest parts of the earth, down to the tallest mountain under the earth, and the tallest mountain under the earth, all the way down to the lowest parts, even to Sheol, even down to the other world. He said, you're going to have to measure it all out. And the Shamayims for me to not take my bride back. Not to take my wife. They make me cast away my wife. People was like, what? He said, that's the only way you're going to get me to do it. You're going to have to get me, that's going to have to happen for me to get me to cast away my wife. And guess what happened? Yahusha said. He said, man. He said, husbands, love your wives as Mashiach loves the congregation. And people's like, what type of love you think this person got? I said, you have no idea. You see all the stuff that they did? You see how much stuff Yasharal and Yehuda did? You see all the stuff that woman done did? And he like, I'm not getting away. I'm not doing what y'all do. He said, if you turn from your righteousness, turn from your wickedness, and you can do all this righteousness, you shall surely live. He said, you shall not die. I will never cast you away. I'm going to make a new covenant with you. I'm going to make a new one with you. You say, what? You see all the stuff I did in my life? You see all the things that I've done in my life? He's like, I'm making a new one with you. Huh? Why would I do that? Because that's what Yahuwah does. Man, she did all that to you and you still going to want to help her? He's like, yeah. And it says, behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah. What happened? When the city, verse 38, when the city shall be rebuilt. Oh, you mean the city we were talking about second Ezra that was torn down? The lamp done went out, the candlestick done went out? The city shall be built from the tower of Haniel to the corner gate. The city shall be built from the tower. He said, the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower. And the measuring line shall go out further. It's going to go out. Oh, you mean the city going to get built? You know how you have the city, Jerusalem, then you have, it said, as the city grows in Devarim chapter 19, Deuteronomy, you add 3 more cities. Then as it gets larger, you add 3 more cities. Oh, you mean 7. 7 cities of refuge. Get what it says, straight to the hill of Gareb, and shall then turn to Goa. Man, everything's starting getting bigger and bigger. The whole valley of dead bodies and the ashes and all the fields are as far as the brook Kidron, to the corner of the house gate toward the east, shall be sacred to Yahuwah. Man, everything's starting to get bigger. 7. He said, as Jerusalem increases, you add cities of refuge. He said the whole city of Jerusalem gonna be built again. Then you add cities of refuge again. And guess what happens? And it shall not be plucked up, huh? And it shall not be plucked up. Shamaim, he said the gates of hell ain't gonna prevail against it. That when anyway you just said. And it says right here, he said, upon this rock, I'm gonna build my building. I'm gonna build back Jerusalem. Oh, he told Kof. He said, your name ain't no longer called people. It's gonna be called Kof. Just like a hand, Kof. Just like his right hand. You know how he has 7 stars in the right hand, just like a Kof. He said, I'm gonna strike my Kof at your unjust gain in Yirmiyahu. Guess what he said? I got my Kof, and guess what? And with my hands, I'm gonna build it. You know what he told him? You just read that? He said he gonna build it with his hands. With his 2 hands, he gonna finish it. Why do you think he had him nailed to the cross between 2 thieves? He said, handle me and see. He told Thomas, handle me and see. He said, look at the nail prints in my hands, in my side. Feel it. Handle me and see. I finished it. He was talking about the temple of his body. And it says right here, the house gate of the east shall be sacred. And it shall not be plucked up or overthrown anymore forever. You can't destroy this. This new Berith, you can't. You can't. He said you can't destroy it. He said, these are my 2 anointed ones, right? So this is the book of Ezekiel. 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 The book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel, chapter 37:15. Ezekiel 37:15. And it says, then the word of Yahuwah came to me, son of Adam, take a stick and write on it for Yehuda and the people of Yasharal associated with him. Then take another stick and write on it for Yehusha, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Yasharal associated with him. Huh? He said, what are these 2 branches in your 2 branches? These 2 olive trees, 2 branches coming out the side. What is this? He said, these are 2 anointed ones. He said, but they're going to come in the spirit of somebody, of 2 people though. They're going to be coming like the spirit of 2 people that were taken from the earth. And amazingly, when those 2 people come back, they're going to be united with those 2 people. And with all the other people that have not tasted death. But it says right here, for Yehusha, it says, and for all the house you're associated with him, and join them one to another into 1 stick. Why do you think the 7 bowls and the 7 lips were joined to the 2 olive trees? Why do you think in Jerusalem there's 12 gates? 3 to the north, 3 to the south, and 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. And those 7 bowls, he said, those 7 eyes of Yahuwah joined to Jerusalem. For Yehusha, and it says, and join them it says, join them one to another into 1 stick, that they may become one in your hand. And when your people say to you, will you not tell us what you mean by these? It means everybody keep asking that. Even Zerubbabel was like, what does this stuff mean? What's going on? And he says, say to them, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I am about to take the stick of Yehusha that is in the hand of Ephraim and the tribe of Yasharal associated with him, and I will join with it the stick of Yehuda and make them 1 stick, that they may be one in my hand. He said, 1 in his hand. What hand is that? His right hand. What's in his right hand? The 7 stars. And then guess what? You put those 2 sticks and make them 1 in his right hand. Guess what? You got your house of Jerusalem, the whole house of Yasharal, which is Saum, and then you have the 7 stars in his right hand. And they all one. And there'll be the 7 eyes. And they'll be all one. It says, when the stick on which you write are in your hand before their eyes, then say to them, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will take the people of Yasharal from the nations, then he gonna do it. People saying, why he ain't do it yet? Oh, you know, he coming back. Yahusha coming back. Are you sure? Because there's some things that gotta happen before that happens. He coming back next week. He coming back next week. You know, I heard that for the last 10 years, 30 years, 10 years. You heard that about 7 years ago. The earthquake gonna happen, the asteroid gonna pass. That's the end, right? People try to make a bunch of stuff. But there's some things that gotta happen. It says, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will take the people of Yasharal from the nations among which they have gone, and will gather them from all around and bring them into their own land. He said, then I'm gonna do that. He said, ain't no point in me bringing you if you ain't one. He said, what's the point? Because in the beginning, everything was one on the first day of creation. When the sun go down, it'll be the first day after the seventh day. And guess what? That's a cod. He said you should be one when the sun goes down. And guess what it says? He says, and gather them from all around and bring them to their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land, one nation of Yasharal. In the land, on the mountains of Yasharal, on the mountains of Yasharal, and you mean the valley, on the mountain range. No, on the mountains of Yasharal. What's on the mountain? Saon. Zion. Saon, the parched place. And guess what it says? And one king shall be king over them all. He said, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall be like a hiding place in the wind. And they shall be no longer two nations, and no longer divided into two kingdoms. They shall not defile themselves any more with their idols, with their detestable things, or with any of their transgressions. But I will save them from all the backslidings in which they have sinned, and will cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And my servant David shall be king over them. He said, who's going to be king? He said, you're going to kill your king? Didn't they tell Yahushua, you're going to kill your king? He said, David is dead. His scepter right here. Even as Kof said. He said, if you be the Malach of Yehuda, if you be the Malach of Yasharal, come down from the cross. He said, David is dead. David is dead. And his scepter right here. And then he told Kof. He said, but this man did not see corruption. Yahushua Mashiach. And it says, and guess what? And they shall all have one shepherd. How many shepherds? Just one. We don't need one king and one shepherd. We don't need all these shepherds. You see all these shepherds and all these kings running around here? Man, he said, we only need one shepherd. We only need one shepherd. We only need one king. We don't need a whole bunch of kings. We don't need all these people. We don't need all these people. That when you get all these people start saying they shepherds, and guess what happens? You have all this chaos. That's why I say, that's why nobody won. He said, just it's one shepherd, and there's only one king. We are all servants. He's the master of the earth. Why would you go against the master of the earth? That's absolutely crazy. The one who holds the whole Pleiadian star system in his right hand. Why would you go against this person? That's just a hand. But people still do it though. Because they ain't scared. They ain't afraid. He said, you're not afraid. That's like the sci-fi channel, he say, you're not afraid. These are scare tactics. Right? But it says right here, and it says one shepherd, and they shall walk in my rules and be careful to obey my statutes. That's what they're going to do. They shall dwell on the land that I gave to my servant Yaakov, where your fathers lived, and they and their children and their children's children shall dwell there forever. And Daud my servant shall be their prince forever. He said, Yahushua, Mashiach gonna be their prince forever, their ruler. It says, and I will make a covenant of peace with them. He's gonna make a covenant of shalom with them, of peace, and I will make a covenant of peace with them, and it shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will set them in their land and multiply them. I mean, you're gonna have children, and I will set my sanctuary in their midst forevermore. The inner court. Because if you put a sanctuary in the midst, you're putting it inside the court. You're putting it in the inner court, in the midst of them. And I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Then the nations will, know that I am Yahuwah who sanctifies Yasharal, when my sanctuary is in their midst forever. It says in their midst forever. Right, so this is the book of, it says in their midst forever. Right, so this is the book of, it's the book of, yeah, this is the book of, yeah. So this is the book of 1 Peter, say Aleph Kaf. 1 Peter chapter 1 Peter 1 Peter 1 Peter 1 Peter First Peter or Second Peter chapter 1 verse 11. For in this way you will be richly provided for you an entrance into the eternal kingdom. It's going up to verse 2 Peter 1 and 8. Actually, 2 Peter 2 and 1. 2 and 2. May Khan and peace be multiplied to you in the knowledge of Yahuwah and the Adon Yahushua Mashiach. Didn't he say we're going to make a covenant with peace with them after he made them one? It says his divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and righteousness and godliness. He said, is it not written in your Torah, I said you are gods, God Elohim? Through the knowledge of him who called us into his glory and excellence, by which he has granted to us his precious and very great promises, so that through them you may become partakers of the divine nature. He said, is it not written in your Torah, I said you are gods. Divine nature. Supernatural beings. Having escaped from the corruption that is in the world because of sinful desire. For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your emunah with virtue. With virtue, knowledge. With knowledge, self-control. And self-control, steadfastness. And steadfastness with godliness. He said, let not steadfastness and faithfulness forsake you. Love and faithfulness forsake you. Why? Because he's coming to gather these people in. It says, and godliness and brotherly and sisterly affection. And brotherly and sisterly affection with love. For if these qualities are yours and are increasing, which means that they are bearing fruit, just like we look at the summertime when the fruits start to bear trees, and every year you'll see your leaves fall down and you grow even more, and are increasing, they keep you from being ineffective or unfruitful in the knowledge of the Master, Yahushua Mashiach. For whoever lacks these qualities is nearsighted, that is blind, that he is blind, and having forgotten, and having forgotten that he was cleansed from his former sins. You say you forgot. You forgot about the new covenant. And guess what happens? Therefore, brothers and sisters, be all more diligent to confirm your calling and your election. For if you practice these qualities, you will never fall. You will never, ever fall. When he said you'll never fall, you know how I said a righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up? He said you'll never fall. For in this way, there will be richly provided for you. If you don't ever fall, he said, for in this way, there will be richly provided for you an entrance into the mild kingdom of our Master and Savior, Adon Yahushua. And you know the type of people Yahushua want to live with. Why would he gather people and bring them into a city and you don't even have the qualities that he want inside of it? 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. Why would he bring in a bunch of foolish virgins who don't even keep their lamps burning? Who don't even depend on him? Who don't even trust in Yahuwah? Why would I bring you in? He said, you full of mischief. Your lamps don't went out. You see old Saul, the lamp went out. They don't have a lamp of understanding that can't be put out. That lamp has to continually burn. He said you're supposed to be just like the seven bowls with the seven bowl with the 7 lips with the 2 olive trees next to it. And you're supposed to all supposed to compass and work together as one to keep the candlestick continually burning, all 7 of them, and all 7 eyes. He said, you know why you can't see yourself, you can't see your sin? Because your lamp don't went out. Your 7 lamps, your seven eyes don't went out. You can't even see it no more. You can't see it. He said, but if your lamps are lit, you can see your sin. And if you ain't got no sin, you can see other people's sin because you can see it. And it says, therefore, brothers, be all more diligent to confirm in calling and election, for if you practice these qualities, you will never fall. For in this way there will be a richly provided for you an entrance into the Malkuth of our Master and Savior, Yahshua, Yahushua Mashiach. Therefore, I intend always to remind you of these qualities, though you know them and are established in the truth that you have. I think it right, as long as I am in the body, to stir up by the way of reminder, since I know that the putting off my body will be soon, as our Master Yahushua has made clear to me. And I will make every effort so that after my departure, you may, how people say, depart on a flight. When your flight getting ready to take off, how you get to the airport and you're like, man, my flight getting ready to go. He's like, ever seen the movies where the people get ready to get on the airplane and the people don't go. You get ready to go. He's like, my flight getting ready to leave. I only got like maybe 10, 15 minutes. But I'm going to let you know before I leave here, guess what? You might keep these qualities within you. Because these qualities are the beings and the people that Yahuwah wants in his kingdom. Where a lion lay with a lamb and a leopard lay with an ox, and all these things that he said nobody gonna harm in his Kudash mountain. Nobody's gonna do that. So make sure you have these qualities when he comes back. And it says, and stir up your wave by a reminder, since I know that putting off my body will be soon, as our Master Yahushua had made clear to me. And I will make every effort so that after my departure you may be able at any time to recall these things. For we did not follow cleverly devised myths when we made known to you the power of the coming of the Master Yahushua, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty. He said, this ain't no myth. Right? This ain't no myth, right? So going back to ODE 10, we almost finished these last things. Odes of Shalom, chapter 10, verse 1. Odes of Shalom, ODE 10, verse 1 says, Yahuwah has directed my mouth by his debar and has opened my heart by his life. And he has caused to dwell in me his immortal life and permitted me to proclaim the fruits of his peace. Right? He's gonna make a new covenant with the house of Yahshua, and he make the 2 stick one. He's gonna make a covenant with peace with them. And he says right here, verse 3 says, to convert the lives of those who desire to come to him and to capture a good captivity for freedom. It says for freedom. Right, so this is ODE 11 verse 1. ODE 11 verse 1. It says, my heart was pruned and its flower appeared. Then Khan sprang up in me, just like any other plant being pruned in the garden. Because commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and correction and reproof is a way of life. He means pruning. Reproof is pruning. It says, and because he said, why he says to Ka, he said, why are you hitting me? Why are you striking me? Why are you correcting me? Because I want to pour my ruach on you. Why do you think he told Ezra? Ezra said, pour your kudash ruach upon me. And he said, I give you a lamp of understanding that won't be put out. And it says, for the Most High, Yahuwah circumcised me by his Kudash Ruach, and has uncovered my inward being toward him, and filled me with his love. And his circumcision has become my salvation, and I ran in the way of his peace. It says, in the way of truth. And it says, from the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. And I was established upon the rock of truth, where he has set me. And speaking waters touched my lips, from the spring of Yahuwah generously. And so I drank and became intoxicated from the living water that does not die. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. Right, so this is the book of ODE 12, ODE Shalom 12, verse 12 and 1. ODE is the last thing, ODE 12 and 1. It says, he has filled me with the words of truth, that I may proclaim him. And like the flowing waters, truth flows from my mouth, and my lips declare his fruits. This is the fruits of summer fruit. And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me, because the mouth of Yahuwah is the true word, and the door of his light. And the Most High Yahuwah has given him to his generations, which are the interpreters of his beauty, and the narrators of his kabod, his glory. He said, narrative of his beauty, and the narrative of his glory. What do you think? He said, the glory of a woman, glory of a man is his strength, and the glory of a woman is her hair. Why do you think y'all says all that? He said, this is his glory. And then it says what? And the interpreters of his beauty. He said, the beauty of Saum. And it says right here, and the confessors of his thoughts, and the preachers of his mind, and the teachers of his works. And it says, for the subtlety of the words is inexpressible, and the light of his expression, so also is his swiftness and his acuteness. For the limitless is his paths. Like you say, great are the works of Yahuwah, study. He said, understanding is infinite, it's limitless of his path. Anyway, he told Ezra to write, he said, man, write these things down that they may find their way back to the path. Right. Verse 6 says, he never falls but remains standing. He said, if these things remain in you and these qualities be in you, he said, you shall never fall. He said, you're going to be just like Yahuwah. He never falls but remains standing. He said, the judgment, he said, when Yahuwah should come, he said, the judgment seats are set. He said, who shall be able to stand? Who's going to be able to stand when it happens? Who's going to be able to stand? The one, he says, and one cannot know the descent of or his way. Verse 7 says, for as his work is, so is his expectation. So he expecting something to happen. He said, as rain and snow come down from Shamayim, so is the Barbie that goes out of my mouth. It should not return to me void. It should accomplish what I sent it to do. He said, Selah, it's going to accomplish it. For as his work is, so is his expectation. Because he's expecting, just like he said, the farmer waiting for the fruits. He said, I'm expecting this. He says, for he is the light and the dawning of what? For he is the light and the dawning of thought. Until the day dawn and the day star arise in your heart. He said a light, a dawning of understanding. He said a candlestick that will not be put out. He said that candlestick ain't never going to be put out. It says, for he is the light and the dawning of thought. And by him the generations spoke to one another. And those that were silent acquired speech. What happened to Saul? They were made silent. The lyre wasn't string. The songs weren't being sung. The priests went in captivity. The whole city of Saul was destroyed. He said, you weeping for one son? Yeah. Matter of fact, look at Saul. Look at the earth and how many people it's been. He said things that's been going inside of it. It should be weeping even more than you. It says, and from him, guess what it says? And from him came love and harmony, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Because it comes from him, because Yahuwah is love. And guess what it says? And they spoke one to another whatever was theirs. And they were stimulated by the word and knew him who made them, because they were in harmony. He said they were one. For the mouth of the Most High spoke to them, and his exposition was swift through them. For the dwelling place of the word is man, male and female, Adam, and his truth is love. His truth is love. The Barak are they who by means of him have, he says, recognized everything and have known Yahuwah in his truth. Who have known him. So we look at all this, look at Yahushua Mashiach, look at the light of life, look at Saum being destroyed, we see the house being rebuilt. Not as divided, but as one. He said Akkad. He says that even as male and female in the beginning was made one, even as Yahushua and his bride are made one. And through a knowledge of him and the uniting and making a new covenant, he said, you see all these things they have done? He said, but you're going to have to stop even the cosmos and all of the sun, moon, and shemesh, you have to destroy the fourth day of creation in order for this to happen, to make me cast away my bride. Right, so we look at everything that's happened through all the things that's happened through Yahushua Mashiach and the partying in and bringing in even the 7 bowls and the 7 vials, right, 7 bowls and the 7 lips and the 2 olive trees. But then we even look at the buried, even a deeper meaning even of that, knowing that all the truth that's been, expounded, and even all the things that have not, because there's a lot more to the fulfillment of all of the Torah, even in the people. But some things have to take place first, and those things have to take first, have to come to pass, and they must come to pass. Right? Even your cold's trouble, even all these things that must take place, and everything that must take place in the earth must take place. And evil men and seducers will wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But those who elect, it's impossible. He said, if it were possible, for the light of the candle of understanding has been lit, and it can't be put out. If it were possible, they would be able to deceive the very elect. Right? So we make our calling, our election sure, and we allow Saum. He said, it's like he told Saum, he said, put on your garments, put on your beautiful garments, and clothe yourself in righteousness, and clothe yourself in salvation. For he said he will what? He gonna do what? Right, so you're gonna read this right quick, and we're gonna end it. Right, he said right here. We're gonna end it right here. Right, so this is. So this is the book of, where we at? It's popping on my mind. It says, this is Psalms. This is Psalms 149. Psalms Tahalim 149 and 4. Psalms 149 and Psalms 149 and let's see, Psalms 149 and 1. It says, praise Yahuwah, sing to Yahuwah a new song, and praise him in the Aydah of the godly. He said the gods. Let Yasharal be glad in his maker, and let the children of Saum rejoice in their king. He said there's only one king and one shepherd over Saum. Matter of fact, remember when Saum was made desolate and the candlestick went out? He said everything went silent. But he said, you know what? Light a candle of understanding inside. It says, let Yasharal be glad in his maker, and let the children of Saum rejoice in their king. Let them praise his name with dancing. Make melody to him with the tambourine and the lyre. For Yahuwah takes pleasure in his people, and he adorns the meek or the humble with salvation. Right? He adorns the meek, he said, or the humble in salvation. Right? So you look at everything that's happened, you look at Yahushua Mashiach, look at the coming of his Malkuth. But he said he said the light of truth, when it springs up, just like his thoughts are like the day dawning, just like the dawn of the sun. When he prepared a tent for the sun. Your body is a tent, a hall, and his thoughts are like the dawning of the sun. Even as OD said. Even as all these things, these are the dawning of one of our thoughts. Then we see all the things that's going to take place. We look at Yahushua Mashiach being that light of life. And we look at him being the truth that's going to allow us to inherit eternal life and walking in his steps. He did no sin, then he was deceitful in his mouth. Because all sin does is weigh you down. Just like he told Ezra, he said, cast away your thoughts and those things that are heavy to you. He said, why? You got to cast them away. Why? Because that's the only way you become lighter. I said, I'm a light. I'm light like a feather. Right? Just like an eagle has wings. He said, I'm a light like a feather. Amazing that the things that are the most lightest in our life, those things can fly. So we look at ourselves being that, for the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.